So before we touch on the main course for this video, I want to talk about something. So I talk about Honkai Star Rail a lot and want to address some things. So I'm in the minority that has never spent a dime on gacha games, especially Word since you are expected to spend in order to pull everything in the banners. So to catch you up on this game, the appeal of HSR, or I guess gacha games, are the banners. On these banners are characters that can break existing team comps and make new metas. Well, not exactly, since everything is kind of given to you on a silver platter once you acquire your new 5-star character. There are websites that will showcase the best gear to outfit your character with so that they can perform to the best of their ability. These sites also include alternatives just in case you don't have the premium light cones to go with your character. Light cones are the main things that reinforce your character. They will strengthen your character and also add to the stats. The thing is that all 5-star characters have personalized light cones, but you don't get them once you get the character. That means you have to also pull for the light cone after getting your character. A lot of money would have been spent in order to get all the things needed for your character. Not going to talk about other gacha games since I don't play them, but in HSR you need to pull multiple times to reach your character's true potential. Now, with all the information I put out there, do you think this game is something made for free-to-play gamers? The sad truth is that it isn't. Instead of spending money for these pulls, you spend time. You spend a lot of time doing dailies and every mission available to you in the game to grind seller gems. There's no actual way to fully grind because of the energy system. I hate getting close to being done leveling up a character and then getting stopped because I don't have enough credits. Credits being the in-game currency, and once you run out, you have to start grinding them. That just stops you from grinding, and you would have to wait till the next day to continue where you left off. So, why do I still play? Truthfully, the only reason I still play is because it's part of my schedule. I am a schedule-based person, so I tend to stick to it and try not to break it. That sadly includes this gacha game that doesn't respect my time. I mainly play just to see if I can get the banners and still save my resources. I legit had 5 days left and am trying to get enough stellar gems before the banner ends. I just wish more was added, so being free to play didn't feel so restricting. So, now that we discussed something that has been on my mind for a while, time to start the show. So I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm shit at FPS games. Now, it isn't because I'm not skilled enough, but mainly because I don't play them enough. I rarely play FPS games, so it's hard to get that feeling back after years of not playing a shooter. I either play games that focus on the story, and most of the times I have played shooters, the story aspect has been mid, or the game was kinda janky. But that is usually the older games. I've talked about the fact that I tried to play Homefront recently, but the game didn't want to run. The funny thing is, I remember playing the game during lockdown on my gaming laptop. Talking about my gaming laptop, I actually fixed it, so I have something I may use when on the road. I say may because I have no real reason to actually bring it with me. But yeah, it ran fine on a gaming laptop that had lesser specs than my gaming rig. I also think something might be wrong with my PC. So it crashed while I was streaming a point and click game. I should probably do a full scan on my PC, make sure everything is good. Back to Homefront. I didn't care about quitting the game, so I knew that I played it already. Now you would think that because I dislike FPS games, that I haven't touched a lot of them. I have beaten all the Crisis games, all of Metro, and many FPS series. I try to be well-rounded, even with the genres I don't care for. But after that failure, I downloaded a new game and started again. This time, the game decided to run smoothly. That game is the game we are talking about today. Okay, so this is not going to be included in the script because I didn't know this was a thing. But as you can tell, literally right there, it says Spec Ops The Line is no longer available in the Steam store. Which I have no idea that was a thing at all. I didn't know it was not even available. Again, I bought this game. So I bought this game in 2018, right? So I'm not really thinking that this game is something that isn't available nowadays because you find games that are probably they're like 2007. So why would I think this game wouldn't be available on Steam? So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to the script. It's a weird thing I saw. It's a very weird thing. Spec Ops The Line actually surprised me a lot with how well the story was written. Now we will talk more on gameplay before we talk about story because I feel like that is why you are here. So if you remotely thought that I hated combat, you would be right. So probably not for the same reasons you would think. So combat is not done alone because you are in a squad. So you have 2 other people that help you in combat. Now my main disdain with the party system that your teammates don't really feel like they're pulling their weight. I remember a moment when we were heavily under fire and I was waiting on them to take care of their side as I just got rid of my targets and theirs. So in this game, you can direct your allies to attack certain enemies, which is great for stealth. You can direct them to kill certain enemies when unseen. When that happens, they pull on their silencers and don't alert anyone. Now usually, I would just say to kill the enemies yourself. But you may have forgotten how to put a silencer on your weapon. You're only really told how to once, so unless you remember the inputs, you will go without it. I guess you can look up the inputs in your settings, but then you wouldn't be a lazy gamer. But this game is interesting, but feel like turn-based would have been a lot better when it comes to issuing directions. You may think I was crazy for saying turn-based would make this game feel great. Now, let me tell you why before you pick up your torches. So when it comes to directing your companions in a fight, you would easily kill their targets before they get around to it. To get around that and make them feel more important, turn-based would help out immensely. They would be able to fight, and you wouldn't feel like they weren't pulling their weight, unless they missed all their shots. Now, no one would actually care for turn-based in this game, since it would take away from the real-time feel of the game. It would also take away from the realism of this game. In playing this game, I kind of wish for a lot less realism. Now, I'm not talking about story or content from gameplay. When it comes to your ammunition, you'll find ammo tins around the world to refill your ammo, but it isn't enough to last you throughout the remainder of your mission. This is also not the type of game that just gives you unlimited ammo for your pistol. Also, you only really have access to 2 weapon slots, so there's a sidearm and a primary, or the meta, a primary and a primary. For most of the game, I made sure to keep my pistol on me, and some kind of assault rifle. That was until I got to my favorite partner in crime, the sniper rifle. But this game focuses more on aspect of warfare. You grab what is available. The game wants you to grab the guns of your defeated foes as you progress. That means you shouldn't waste the ammo tin, unless there is no guns around you left to pick up, which changes your approach in battles, because of what guns you pick up. Now there are achievements that you complete as you play, which includes killing with a pistol or getting headshots, which fueled my need to use a pistol even more. Gameplay was the typical FPS, but with a tactical spin. In this game, you pilot the leader of a 3-man team that flew into Dubai to find survivors. Now I say tactical with an asterisk attached, because I didn't really tactically approach much or any fight. Maybe because the game didn't feel like your teammates mattered much in fights. That doesn't mean that they don't carry themselves in fights, but not well enough when it comes to your combat prowess. You can headshot enemies, and they'll die from that. But it usually takes a few shots before your allies can kill a target. Now, I do think the tactical system shines in 2 instances. The first one being when you want to be stealthy and want to take down the enemies before they notice you. This also works well if you want to conserve your ammo, so you make them attack so you don't have to. I used this option a few times because I forgot how to put my silencer on my pistol. I didn't want this drawn out fight. The second option when it comes to tactical is using it to get the heat taken off of your character. A lot of times in fights, you'll find enemies just bombarding you with bullets. To stop that from happening, I would direct my allies on a group of enemies giving me the most trouble. That way I can focus on different enemies, and then after taking care of them, take on enemies I neglected. Sometimes, if I was lucky, I would only have to kill a few of the enemies that were left. Now, I say all this, but I'm happy you had allies to go through all of this with. There are tons of these games where you have to do all of this solo, so it was nice you were with people. So the story was more of a trip than I ever expected from this game. The main reason for that is because this game has a ton of fucked up choices you can select. So you are a leader of a small unit. You are dispatched to Dubai in response to a distress call. You found out that this distress call was fabricated, and now you have to decide how you'll progress with this information. There are some decisions that are ingrained in the game, aren't something that can be changed. Now, even though there are things you can't change, there are a ton of things in this game you are in control of. There are so many different ways to go about this game. Now, even though I say all that, there isn't really a good way to go about this game. The main reason is that you cause death because of your decisions. No matter what path you go, blood will be on your hands and your journey will be paved in blood. Well, that is unless you just turn back and don't shoot a single shot. When it came to my playthrough, I tried to choose the best choices and tried not to ever really pick any side. That worked against me, and because of my actions, I saw a lot of the people I was supposed to save got condemned. Because of my actions, because of who I sided with, the lifespan was decreased. I made me realize something that I always knew, which is there is no hero in war. There is just a winner and a loser. Usually the winner is the one that decides how history will talk about the war. But this was a very sad and tragic story that dealt with a ton of loss on a weird hero's journey. This game showcases the damage war does on one's mind, and what happens when you believe that duty is above all. Time for our favorite section, which is, does this game have replayability? At the end of the day, you have to go through certain scenes again, but you can have a completely different playthrough your second time around. I just reinstalled the game, to see if I had to even fire a shot in the beginning section of the game. I didn't have to fire a shot, and things actually went a lot better. I did uninstall it again because I was getting stuck at a part where my teammate didn't kill the person shooting at us. But just seeing that things can change at the beginning tells you that this game is replayable. There are a ton of different ways you can go about this game, and I wouldn't say the other ways are kind to anyone. Now that I say that, I don't think this is a game I would be happy to replay. Not because it isn't good, but because there's a lot of pain involved with going through the other paths that are presented. Now, I would be happy to see how the story changes and all the trauma our character goes through in the story. Wait, no, I don't want to see them go through trauma. I just sound like a sadist. I mean, I am, but not in this moment. But even though the story makes me want to revisit it, the combat doesn't. It isn't that fun. It doesn't really make me want to go back and deal with the gameplay again. I don't know if this is just on me, because I don't really care for FPS games and their combat. There are definitely some games that actually have fun combat when it comes to FPS games, but not this one. Overall, combat wasn't good, and the story was surprisingly complex. The story put you through loops. Never really gave you any hints where it was heading. Wait, I am remembering that there was a deja vu moment that should have clued me in on what was going on. But sadly, I didn't really think much of that situation because I have dealt with games just redoing scenes. That's kind of sad that I neglected an important story aspect because of laziness in other games. But at the end of the day, I actually like this game. I went in not really thinking it would be much on the story side because a ton of FPS games aren't. Kind of reminded me of Senua's Hellblade, which is actually a game I've never played, but know a few things about. I am relating it to the trauma your character deals with, more than anything because actual gameplay and combat are completely different. Even though on paper I will play it, please know I don't actually plan to ever really revisit it. I'm going through my backlog at this current point, and don't really want to visit the newer games I got until I finish off a few of my older games. The sad thing is that we kind of live in this age where you're expected to play a game as soon as it comes out. The main reason to do this is so that there is no way you will get spoiled. Someone told me that my backlog will always be there, which is true, but I'd rather revisit it now instead of always saying that I will get to it one day. Also, time to talk about another game that I gave up on in my backlog. So the next game we'll be talking about is called Anna's Quest, which is a great game with a ton of choices to make. It's also a point and click puzzle game. Sadly, I'm not good at puzzle games, but I was able to beat it. So after beating the game, I decided to play the next game in my list. That was also by the same devs, I believe, which is called Deponia. I think I got about 4 hours in before I quit the game. The reason I quit the game had nothing to do with the story or difficulty of the puzzles. The main character that you pilot was just an egotistical asshat that had no redeemable qualities. Kind of wish that he got better as time went on, but he just never felt better, and the dialogue options made me hate him even more. I quit once I had to use a walkthrough to get through the game because I was too dumb to think of what to do next. I had to feed some cats espresso, and I had to ask myself what I was doing. I felt like I was a villain in the story, where it wasn't actually possible to really be a villain. Like before that, hit my ex with a dart laced with tranquilizer to calm her down so I could steal from her. Then the MC was happy that she didn't get an immunity to them, which hinted that this wasn't the first time he did this. I just couldn't deal with him, so I quit the game. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this review of Spec Ops, which I never really like calling these reviews. I just tell you my experience with the game and if I liked it or not. I would never really rate it on the number scale since those are always objective. Anyway, my name is Oni Ninkabis, and that is my time. Hope you all have a great day and an amazing week. Later days. I love you all. Sending you kisses, essentially. Alright, see you all soon. Alright, later. I love you all. Peace. Bye. Mwah.